Well, good morning. Cameron Walker here with Boomtown Development Company. We are pleased to have District 1 City Councilor Vanessa Hall-Harper join us today here at Black Wall Street Square. There's a lot of activity. As you can see, we're in the midst of framing. But we wanted to bring in Councilor Hall-Harper today to kind of talk about the importance of this project to North Tulsa. So with that, I want to welcome Councilor Vanessa Hall-Harper. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So you've been involved with this project since before it was even a thought. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this was a piece of property that the Tulsa Development Authority had set vacant for decades. What was kind of the thought process that both the City of Tulsa, Partner Tulsa, and the TDA had in redeveloping this site from the beginning?
Well, I learned that this was probably the largest piece of land that was continuous left, the TDA. The rest of them are smaller lots. And so I wanted something unique. So it was decided to put the project out on the land for an RFP process. And I actually approached Terry McGee. May he rest in peace. But I approached Terry McGee. He's a longtime home builder in North Tulsa and well respected. And so I asked him, I said, hey, there's this lot of land over here. I would love to see something very unique be built there and developed there. And so he said he hadn't thought about it, but hey, he would put in a request. And so he did, along with several others. We convened a committee of people in the community, and his project was selected. And it was the Black Wall Street Square. He wanted to pay homage to the legacy and the history of Black Wall Street. And the committee overwhelmingly voted for his proposal, and he brought you in as a partner to make it happen. And so I'm really excited to actually see work being done, the structures rising up, because it is really a appreciation and a homage to Terry McGee and his vision. So.
Well, you're spot on with something unique. And when Terry called me, he said, look, I don't know exactly what we want to do, but he goes, I think bringing together McGee Enterprises and Boomtown, we could do something special. So to that point, we kind of came up with this plan to build something that would be unique, but that would look like something that was being developed in any other part of Tulsa.
Absolutely.
And that was really important to Terry. Kind of speak to, homes that are being built in North Tulsa, and why does the community have such a desire to see things that are being built in other areas? They want it built here, and so kind of talk to me about that and kind of what you hear from your constituents about houses that are being built and businesses that are being built in North Tulsa.
Well, what I hear and personally experience, right, because I live here, that there are just not a lot of options. And I used the story when I came home from college in 1993. Being born and raised here, I wanted to live in my community. I wanted to come back home. I didn't want to move back home with my parents, but I wanted to still stay in my community, and I couldn't do that. I had to move out to 71st and Lewis because there were no quality market rate apartments in North Tulsa. And so I also experienced that as I've moved, matured, of course, and moved into home ownership, that again, there's still limited options. And so there should be, and this is what I shared with Terry, something unique that looked different, that is not maintaining the status quo, but to provide options, not only of rental options, home ownership options, but even the appearance. These are townhomes. And so we don't have a lot of townhome projects, but they're still home ownership, they're still building wealth, right? But they're unique in their appearance and what they offer, but all in the same community. We don't have to have communities where everything looks exactly the same. We want variety. And so this is why this project really appealed to me when Terry proposed it and said, hey, why don't we do a series of townhomes and call it Black Wall Street Square?
Well, I don't want to dwell on it, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention some of the historical challenges and just the wrongs that have been really thrust on North Tulsa and the residents here. But everything from redlining to disinvestment to urban renewal, kind of talk about some of those really bad scars that have impacted North Tulsa that are even impacting us today,
Still impacting.
and what those challenges are to redeveloping.
Well, I'll say some communities are invested in, some are not. And the answer to that is very simple. It's racism. All right, this is America. and from the onset of this country, of this nation, that there's always been a difference in how people are treated, right? How neighborhoods are treated. You just mentioned redlining and urban renewal. All of these were programs from the highest levels of government, from our federal government, that were earmarked for Black, brown, and poor communities. And so we still see, even today, the impact of that. When developers like you and Terry want to come in, the infrastructure is so outdated, right? And so it costs more to develop in poor communities. As an elected official, I understand that these are barriers, and that's why I'm constantly speaking these truths out loud in hopes that systems, institutions, lending institutions, and so forth will see and understand that that's wrong, that's still wrong, and that in order for us to really live up to the creed of this American dream, and that all men are created equal, that these vices have to be put down.
So one of the things I've learned, and I've only been working in North Tulsa for about the last 15 years, but to your point about coming back after college and having to go way south to find an apartment, one of the, I think really it's an inaccuracy is that, you know, oh, North Tulsa, nobody wants to live there. Absolutely. That's only the African-American part of town. It's all low income. But I don't find that that's true. You've got developers doing $1 million houses now over here a couple of blocks away on Reservoir Hill. But, you know, there was a time, I think, early on when I was working here that most of the development was happening by Habitat or the Housing Authority. But now you're seeing private developers. Absolutely. And we're seeing this kind of growing African-American development community kind of rise up. So I know you've had a heavy hand in being part of that and seeing some of those companies start to flourish, but what can we do to kind of convince and recruit even more of those private developers? Because we need diverse housing in North Tulsa. So what else can be done to kind of attract more investment into North Tulsa?
I think, again, going back to those institutions that are behind, that sit behind any type of entrepreneurial efforts. And so since we're talking about development, I have to elevate Franchelle Abdallah, who started a developers academy. And so some of those young developers that you're speaking of, certainly those developers of color, they went through her program and are now acquiring properties, starting off small, just like any other company, right? Started small and now they're growing. And so we need those opportunities. And so when it comes to the lending institutions, to be able to say, okay, yes, we're going to give you the opportunity to conceive an idea and to build that idea and hopefully to flourish and become a company so that one day you can say, we've been in this work or doing this work for 75 years or 100 years. Most of that is just opportunity. Some people have opportunities and some people don't, right? When you have that opportunity, then you can grow, then you can build. And so I think that, again, when we're talking about systems and institutions, at the end of the day, it's about treating everyone fairly and giving everyone an equal opportunity. And so one of the things I love about this project, and I was very clear with you from day one, and every time we have a meeting, you say that, but it was very important to me that we use contractors, subcontractors from this community, people that live in this community, that grew up, worship, work, do everything in this community, that they can build their community, as opposed to those outside of the community coming in, taking that wealth, earning that wealth, and leaving the community.
So we absolutely have adopted kind of your ethos on hiring contractors from North Tulsa, and we're very proud that we've been able to employ not only some of our contractors we've been using, but meeting some new contractors. In fact, this framing company that's a Black-owned firm, we've never worked with them before, but got to meet the owner, and we have been nothing but pleased. And so, you know, that is a kind of a good segue, you know, keeping those dollars in North Tulsa. And I don't hear anything that's exclusionary, but I understand kind of that reinvestment of $1 recirculating in North Tulsa. You've been involved with a lot of projects, even outside of housing. I think of Shops on Peoria, Oasis Fresh Market, because you need the rooftops to attract the businesses, but it's kind of the chicken and the egg.
Exactly.
So what are some of those other, I guess I even call them like selling points of North Tulsa? Tell me some of the other cool things that are happening in North Tulsa during your tenure, or things that are kind of in the works.
Well, I would say one of the things I am most proud of is Oasis. When I ran for office, one of the comments that I heard from my constituents was that we have to leave our community to buy food. But yet we continue to see this proliferation of dollar stores popping up. And so, I mean, and it was a fight. Unfortunately, it was a battle, because I went and again, TDA, the Tulsa Development Authority, was selling a lot of those lots, this land that we have available, to dollar stores. And so I approached them and said, hey, I'm trying to address a food insecurity problem. Dollar stores are not grocery stores, and they don't address food insecurity. And so please don't sell any more land to dollar stores. And instead of that, help me build a grocery store. We were able to build a grocery store along with TEDC, Tulsa Economic Development Corporation, and Rose Washington Jones, who's totally awesome. And so again, we have a model that we can and hope to duplicate throughout the district. I have one grocery store in my district, right? And that's unfortunate. We have a couple of more that are growing up, smaller box concepts, but we need strong, solid, for-profit grocery stores. And so we have one. Not only are we looking to duplicate it here, there are other communities and other states that are looking to duplicate the Oasis model, again, in Black, brown, and poor communities, because unfortunately, this experience, like the things that we're talking about, the disenfranchisement that takes place, it is a systemic issue. You know it's systemic because it doesn't matter what city you go into in any state in this country, the same communities experience the same disenfranchisement. And so those solutions have to come not just out of community, but within government. We have to do things differently as municipalities, as state legislatures, and certainly as federal governments, as far as the policies that are brought down that we're governed by. I'm also excited about GEM, Greenwood Entrepreneurship at Moton. We're getting ready to have the ribbon cutting for the whole old historic Moton Hospital. That was the Black hospital. We have so many elders walking around here today that say, hey, I was born in that hospital. And so it has a lot of memories, good memories, for a lot of people in this community. So I'm excited that we were able to take that building and redevelop it into what we call GEM, Greenwood Entrepreneurship at Moton. And so we will be running entrepreneurial programs out of GEM and spurring, again, that next generation of entrepreneurship, whether it's contractors, whether it's barbers, whether it's store owners, retail, whatever the case may be. We just want to make sure that there's a place where people in this community can dream of a concept and bring it to fruition, and then and practice a profession that they can not only raise their children, but be able to pass that down generation to generation to build wealth, just like any other people group and community in this nation.
But in addition to those amazing things you've kind of mentioned, you've got a state-of-the-art brand new library being built. North Tulsa is home to some of our best public schools in the state. I think of Booker T. Washington High School, Carver Middle School. You've got a plethora of charter elementary schools. Access to highways, proximity to downtown, 5 minutes from the airport. I mean, there's a lot of really cool things when you're a resident of North Tulsa, and just that have access to all sorts of things in our communities. What's kind of your pitch for North Tulsa? For folks that either haven't been here or don't come here often, why are you so excited about North Tulsa and the momentum and the direction it's going?
I think North Tulsa is the best of Tulsa, which is why I came back home to live and to raise my family. The people, for me, is what's most important, that make us who we are. But we need to, as these developments, as you can see, what we need, we need to have more of that. We have some of the best views throughout this entire city. I try to keep those things secret if you want to know the truth, because I really love my community, and I want what's best for us. I will be honest with you and say that gentrification is a concern for me. and for many reasons. Some people say, well, we just want to stay in our community. We want our communities to look the same. And I get that. But what concerns me more, what scares me more when it comes to gentrification than anything else is that when communities are gentrified, their representation it deteriorates. And so when we don't have that voice, that reduces our power. And our voice to say, hey, or demand, we need this, we want this, we need grocery stores, we need these types of things for our community. And we have to be careful that doesn't happen, because that is one of the effects of gentrification. It does beautify, right? That's a good thing. We want our communities to be beautiful. We want our communities to be safe. We want to have all of those amenities. You mentioned good schools and parks and all those things. But the question is, or the challenge is, how can we improve our communities, improve our quality of life, increase that investment that historically have been divested, and still maintain the communities and the homes and the people that live in those communities. And that's the challenge.
So I'm going to paraphrase something I think I've heard you and some others in North Tulsa say. We don't want things done to us, we want things done with us. So when you're talking to other prospective developers, because I've run into them that maybe for the first time they're thinking about, hey, I think there's a market in North Tulsa. There's some opportunity to do some good, to make some money. But for somebody that hasn't built or developed in North Tulsa yet, from your vantage point, what's the best way to kind of go about, you know, looking and kind of exploring a project, but engaging with the community?
Yeah, well, there are many ways to do that. I am more than happy to do that, to work and connect with whoever the developer is. And hey, I'll have a meeting, right? The neighborhood that you're considering, let's go and meet with the guests. I literally will go make out flyers and go knock on doors and let people know, hey, there's a potential development that's coming. I think a lot of, and I've seen and experienced that a lot of the fears and concerns can be assuaged just by communicating. When everybody comes together and communicate. I'm not going to say we're going to always solve everyone's problems or assuage everybody's concerns, but I think we get closer to doing that just by communicating. And so I always offer myself to be that gateway, if you will, to come in and say, hey, let's sit down and talk and address any concerns we may have. We want thriving communities, and in order to maintain that thriving community, we have to have people and the young generation coming up and stand here and deciding to make Tulsa their home. But we can't do that if we don't address the housing needs, as well as other opportunities to everyone feel like that they can be successful. And it's these types of projects and opportunities like that gym, the Greenwood Entrepreneurship in Moton will offer, so that people can say, hey, there's something here for me and I'll stay. But if not, they're going to be leaving. Yeah. And so,
well, Councilor, we appreciate your support on this project. We absolutely know we could not have done this without you, without Terry McGee. I'm proud that this is finally coming out of the ground. It has taken forever. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the project or work or something that we haven't talked about that's going on in North Tulsa?
No, I'm just excited not only for this project. I think where it is right off of MLK, when people see it, once it's done and how beautiful it's going to be, I think that's going to assuage some of the concerns. I hope that it will assuage some of the concerns that Boomtown and Habitat are really doing quality homes and quality projects, and that's something that they shouldn't be afraid of or concerned about. I'm certainly excited about this, and certainly excited about the future and what we can do in the future as it relates to housing.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for joining us today. I want to thank Councilor Vanessa Hall-Harper for her support, for her time today, and just telling us all about the amazing updates going on in North Tulsa. Stick with us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Hopefully we'll have a second story on all these buildings, and then we'll be throwing some bricks and some windows on here, adding a little pop of color, and in no time we'll be dedicating this first phase of Black Wall Street Square. So thank you, and stay tuned for more updates.